Parker Water Board meeting to order. From staff, we've got Deborah Lashansky, Nikki Hoyt, Rebecca Tejada, James Roach, Jared Mann, and our manager, Ron Red. Online, we have Jeff Parker, our attorney. From the board, Bill Wasserman, Brooke Booth, myself, Don Langley, and Robert Kanawha.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any unscheduled items of public interest? Seeing none. Changes or additions to the agenda?
We have none.
Nothing, anything from the board?
No, I'm going to change.
Seeing none from the board. Board comments. I'll make the first one and say, welcome back, you two returning soldiers.
Not certified yet.
But your numbers were good. I think it's going to stand. Any other comments?
I've got a couple. One is just for information purposes. Many of you, I think, over the years have attended the Memorial Day services in Parker at the Parker Cemetery, and that program has been canceled this year. I think basically they're filling up the cemetery, and there really isn't the room to do it. So I spoke with the gentleman that handles that, Steve Trevino, who had been with Ponderosa Funeral Home, Ponderosa Valley, and he had told me it's completely canceled this year. And I don't know if there's any plans to try and move it next year or do anything with it. I have no idea on that right now. The second thing is that after about 2 years of negotiating and working, this weekend, the students from Grand Valley State University in Michigan are going to be coming to Parker Water. They will be here on Sunday for a tour, and then the main event will be Monday from 9 to noon, I think, somewhere's in there. So I think this will give them a real chance to see and understand water issues that out west we have to deal with, as opposed to Michigan, where you're never 5 miles from a lake, stream, or river or major, Great Lake there. So it's a whole different world where they live, and I think it's going to be good. I think the total is like 23 people are coming, I think so. But looking forward to it. I will be here for Monday for sure, and maybe the Sunday event, depending on how Mother's Day events go at my family. Thank you. That's all I have.
Anything else? Okay, let's move on then to leadership team comments.
Okay. Before I get started, I wanted to let you know Steve was not able to attend tonight, so Nikki, who is our customer service manager, is our acting CFO. I think we'll just promote her tonight, so feel free to ask her any question you want when it's time. So. Do you mind advancing it for me? All right, so what's interesting is that we're down a little bit on the water, and we actually checked today to make sure we read this correctly, but we're essentially hanging in there a little over 27,000 acre feet, which is, again, pretty high over the last few years, and just down a little bit in height. So we looked into it, and it's interesting. So what's going on is we had a lot of rain, and that's still coming, and it usually takes a few days before we see it coming in. But why you're not seeing it go up is we are out of priority, and we had excess water in there from previous rainstorms. So we are no longer pumping return flows up there. We're replacing what we captured earlier with return flows downstream. So that water isn't going in. But also the water plant came online about a week ago, and we're somewhere between 4.5 and 5 million gallons a day coming out of there. So the fact that it's hanging in there is a good sign as well. The next slide, please. Just a couple things. I want to do a quick election wrap-up. First of all, congratulations, Brooke and Dawn. Welcome back. Look forward to the next 4 years. But what I wanted to do is just take a breath and celebrate a little bit, because a lot of work has been done from 2 years ago, and I just really need to recognize some folks on that. Over the last 2 years, internal staff, Deborah, our GIS team, Guy, and customer service has been working really hard to make sure our boundaries match the county boundaries, so that all our customers in our district have an opportunity to vote. And that got taken care of. Jeff Parker was instrumental in working with the assessor's office. And so, of course, we always hold our breath a little bit after that 2 years ago, but it went really, really well. This year, too, we had really nothing that came up. Deborah handled, we had some minor questions here and there, but she handled it super well, and I was able to enjoy a week off in Montana without having to worry about that at all. So a lot of work's been done. You can be confident that we've captured. The county now has our residents in our district in their system, and we have a process when we do an inclusion where we go back. It usually takes a few months, but we go back to make sure it was included. So hopefully you'll never see an included property not included on the county website. A couple of years ago, I was asked at I think it was an SDA conference, to speak about this, because apparently this is something that's common out there. And I wanted to wait until we had a successful election. And so now that we have, I think we'll probably put something together for a future presentation, kind of laying out what happened, what we did, and what to look for in your own district, something along that line. So we'll be doing that. I did want to let the board know we had our third Citizens Academy last night, and we didn't have as many. We usually have around 16 to 20. Last night we had 9. I'm sure it wasn't the topic because everyone loves finance, but Steve did a fantastic job, as always. We had a very engaged group, and what I love is at the end, a lot of the questions were, because I let him know, Steve, this was his last class, and they were like, what are we doing to make sure that we bring the same philosophical approach to how Parker Water's finances are done? And I assured him that's a board directive, and the CFO reports to me to make sure that we do that. But I think that's a compliment, that that's what they're worried about. But as always, it's engaging. People don't understand a lot of times what we do, and to see how we do rates and fees, impact fees, and all that, I think it was just an outstanding one. We have 3 more left to go, so I'll be sure to be more proactive and let you know so you can come meet this group. What was great too is one of the folks that showed up came from the first Citizens Academy, but he missed this one, so he came in for this one. And of course we just grow this stakeholder list, and we let them know what's going on. So that's how we knew it was going on. Grand Valley State Tour, Phil's already addressed. I didn't realize it was Mother's Day, but if you're bored on a Sunday, 7 p.m., they're going to show up after 17 hours of driving. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to show them some historical and art. We have a ceremonial circle out there. It's probably about an hour and 15 minutes before the sun goes down. Get them out, get them walking around a little bit. But then Monday morning, we have Water Rights 101. We're going to tour the dam. We're going to talk, they have a geology background, and so we're going to talk about the dam, the construction issues we had. We're going to take them over to the spillway, where you could see a lot of the rock formations, and then we'll end up at the pavilions for lunch and just an overview of what we do. So I think it'll be a good presentation.
One of the, kind of a side point of interest, if you looked at the address from the professor there, he's in Niemeyer Hall. And when I was in college 100 years ago, Professor Niemeyer was my advisor, and this guy was great. He was a history professor, and he would make history come so alive, and he was partly responsible for me initially majoring in American history and political science. And he went on to become the provost for the college and was there many years. Just a great gentleman and bright guy, really interesting. And so they named a hall after him. I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. And then the last item I had, I know Deborah's already let you know, Water Congress is filling up fast. Again, this is the one that I go to of all the ones we do. It's an opportunity to meet water providers and our legislative representatives, as well as our federal elected officials. And it's all about water, and you get to meet a lot of people throughout the state. Great presentations. It's in Steamboat, which is always nice, but it's in August coming up, and I know the hotel is almost booked, but there's other places. So highly encourage. If you want, it's probably the best water event that we have. We have presented twice in the last two. I think we're taking a year off.
Yeah.
After we took third, we were the third presentation last year. We're going to let that one sit for a while, but I recommend it, and Deborah can help you. If you want to do it yourself, that's fine, but we'll certainly help you get registered if you're interested. Any questions at all? Okay, I'm going to hand this off to our CFO, Nikki Hoyt. I don't think it's working.
Okay. Oh,
There we go.
financial audit. So Steve has asked me to give you an update on the audit, and I'm going to read his update to you as he's asked me to do. So he says, I wanted to let the board know we feel the audit is going well. Jeff had a conversation with the auditors this morning. They told him from their current review to date, they have not discovered any control deficiencies or significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. They did say the audit still has to make it through their quality control group, but from their perspective, they felt okay. As of this morning, we still had a few outstanding questions to address. As of this afternoon, responses to all questions have been forwarded on to Plant Moran. The audit committee presentation is scheduled for June 3rd, and presentation to the board is scheduled on June 12th. We will let the board know if anything changes. Please let us know if there are any questions. Thanks, Steve.
All right, if there's no questions for Nikki. Any questions? I have just two updates, and they're actually recognitions that I wanted to provide to our water resources team. They've been doing an incredible job under Heather's leadership. The first one I wanted to note was our new water efficiency specialist, Heather Johnson. One of the first things that she took on was developing a class for our residents called Revitalize Your Yard. And it was a fantastic community outreach, and it was very much appreciated by those who attended. It was only 18 people had, I think, registered, and 8 attended, which happens. But they all really appreciated her efforts in putting this together. She made it very Parker Water specific and matched the needs of our residents while still focusing on low water use plants and things like that, but really understood how Parker, kind of the culture here and how people would want their yards to look, and talked about how to add pops of color into their yard and utilizing perennial bulbs that are still low water usage and things like that. So she did a phenomenal job. This is an exact email that was sent to us. And so it was really appreciated. They're looking forward to the next class. They actually suggested that we do even a better job of promoting the class and putting it in a spot on our website. So just really great job to Heather Johnson. She was a fantastic hire, and I'm looking forward to more classes that she's going to put together. She's going to have one for the fall on how to then kind of take your yard out of commission. So,
Question. Does it lend itself to put into a video and online on the website?
I think that we could probably go down that route. We might have to involve our consultant to help make that happen, but I think something like that would be really great.
If it's that good, then,
Yeah.
and easy way to share it.
Yep, that's a great idea. I appreciate that. So as we continue on this, we can promote it even more like that. Thank you. The other recognition I wanted to have is for our water resource project manager, Eric Jorgensen. Eric is the president of the trustees board for the water reuse group in Colorado. Water reuse is really important to Colorado at this point. If you're doing it correctly, it actually helps provide an additional water source to your portfolio. So the vision of this group is really every community using recycled water, safeguarding public health, and achieving that resilience. So it's so important to be a part of this group like that. And so not only are we part of this group, but we're helping on the leadership side of it. So he was at a conference on May 5th, and he actually gave the introductory remarks. And he did start off with a joke, which I said that I would relay to you. And it will go something like this. So PFAS walked into a bar. The bartender said, "We don't serve your kind here." And PFAS replied, "Too bad, I'm already in the water." He actually got laughs when he did it, so. All right, that's all I have. I'm just really proud of this team.
Good evening. Tonight we have the numbers for operations and production. So April showed an increase in production to 6.6 from 5.2 million gallons per day. Wastewater treatment stayed thankfully the same as the previous month, and our flows up to Ruderhest or into Cherry Creek Pump Station at 3.1. And the volume, as Ron mentioned, at 27,293 acre feet. And our WISE flow coming to the water plant was at 2 million gallons, and our well house was at 4.6 million gallons. And the water plant has been undergoing some repairs through April, and as Ron mentioned, it's just recently been brought back online. So by source, in April, the majority of our water obviously was produced by our wells, and a small amount was brought in by WISE, and the water plant produced the remainder for the month. Water quality calls, they weren't exceptional for the month. We did have some more of the calls about taste and odor. And to remind you, the district is doing a chlorine change on the 27th of May, where we're going to switch over to free chlorine. And we're going to be cleansing out the distribution system and in conjunction with flushing and the starting up of a lot of irrigation systems. So this is a normal process that is important and should help with some of the taste and odors that we've been experiencing. The operators have been out doing testing, getting baseline information, and working with our neighbors as well as WISE to make sure that everybody that receives our water is aware of it, and our communications team has been sending out information on that as well. And locates, you can see locates are pretty much where they were last April, very close to what they were last April. Any questions? Okay,
Anyone?
thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. Our traditional email slide. I found something interesting in this slide this time around. Between October and May of 2025, we went up 40% in emails. What that tells me is we have a lot more work going on here. We have a lot more activity at Parker Water, and so our communications with outside organizations has gone up tremendously in the last 6 months. Thankfully, though, on the threat landscape, our ACC risk factors stayed the same. The traditional spyware is always on our edge, but that risk factor for us has stayed the same as we optimize our system moving forward. I wanted to highlight a project that the teams have been working on across the organization as part of the North Water Reclamation Facility server relocation. This was a project that we did in conjunction with the tenant arriving on the second floor, was moving all of the server infrastructure down to the first floor to make room for it. I really want to highlight and thank the district services team for modernizing and removing some of the infrastructure in this space so we can turn it into a server room and make it available. And then also our IT staff, Daniel Hernandez and Nick Tripp, for working with the contractors and wiring up the infrastructure, which should be ready to go here in the next week or so. The reason we did this was to make room for the expansion of the North Plant and load balance our systems as we are ready for the new operational technology that will be coming online, and providing that extra resource and work load balance for us at this facility. Another project we've been working on is the Butterfield Tank Communication Project. What you see here in the stainless steel box here, we identified over the last year that it was at the point of resource load where it was overheating on a regular basis. And so we went ahead and put the capital resources in the budget, and we now have a NEMA-rated air-conditioned unit to make sure that that facility does not overheat, because this is a critical location for us for communication across the district. So we're building in that redundancy and sustainability across our organization and our telemetry.
The towers that look like microwave towers there,
That's correct.
who do we provide that for? We're not using those, right?
We are.
We
Yep.
are, that's for our own use?
Yep. So we have an entire fiber backbone along with a microwave antenna telemetry for all of our operational technology, the SCADA controls, so we can communicate between remote sites.
Thank you.
My final slide for tonight, I would like to introduce Henry Imperial. He's behind me back here. He is our new cybersecurity analyst here at Parker Water. Henry is a Colorado native from just outside of Kiowa, and he's a proud Nebraska Cornhusker. Now, I don't know what a Cornhusker is, but he's happy to talk to you about it any time. But he is a global studies and international relations, and I asked him, what did you want to do with that out of college? And he said, I wanted to be Jack Ryan from the Tom Clancy novels. And so he wanted to go to DC and work in the National Security Agency. Ultimately, he thought better of that and decided to stay here in Colorado, where he took his first job in cybersecurity as a Tier 1 analyst for a managed service provider. They provide services to other utilities and organizations and do the work on their behalf. Decided he wanted to move on to bigger and better things and became a cybersecurity analyst at Dish Network. And then finally went into the federal government under the government's rules and compliance sector of the Department of Interior. So really Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan stuff there. Ultimately thought better of it and said, hey, it's a little volatile in the federal government, so I'm going to move to Parker Water, and took the opportunity here. Fun fact for Henry is that he's been to 26 countries, and the next one on the list is New Zealand. So wanted to recognize and congratulate Henry for coming on board.
Thank you. Jeff, you're up.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Loud and clear.
Great, all right, great, good to hear. I got 3 quick ones for you, nothing surprising. With respect to the Platte Valley Water Project, there's a pretty big meeting tomorrow. I'm not gonna be part of it, but your water attorney, Bob Crassa, and Lower South Platte's water attorney, Julianne Woolwood, will be there. And I actually heard there were some concerns today about Parker Water not being willing to agree to waive its right to use eminent domain for a particular part of the project. And I had a conversation with Lower South Platte's attorney about this today, and I think she's got it all covered. And I think Rebecca is going to be there too, I believe. People really want you to give up your right to use eminent domain as part of the project. And even if you wanted to do that, you can't do that under Colorado law. It's not something that you can waive fact, my law firm litigated the case that basically came to that conclusion. And so we're going to do our best, at least Julianne, and I'm sure Rebecca will, and I'm sure Bob Krasa will, to explain to people who are upset about this that it's something that's not allowed under the law. So don't get upset with Parker Water, get upset with the people who make the laws. It's also an important power to have, which I don't think we really want to give up, but we're trying to make this work with everybody out there. And whenever you use the word eminent domain, people get concerned. So hopefully it won't become a big issue and people can help. People will be able to explain it at tomorrow's meeting. I also worked on an offer letter that's going to go out to, or may have already gone out, I believe, to the owners of property at the Pruitt Reservoir. So hopefully more to come on that, and I'll be doing more legal work with purchase and sale agreements and that kind of stuff, and we'll see where that goes. Any questions on those two issues?
None here.
Great. Okay, and then two quick ones. Water treatment plant. I think we had a really good executive session last meeting. I thought it was super helpful, hopefully for the board. And I just anticipate coming back to you probably in the summer sometime with hopefully more information, and we can have another discussion about where we're going to go with that. But I just wanted to keep that on the list. Let you all know that I'm still paying attention, although James and his crew are doing most of the actual hard work. And I'm just waiting to hear what the experts have to say about potential issues and fixes out there. So any questions on that?
Seeing none?
All right, great. Last one, Douglas County Home Rule. I had promised Ron a memo on this for a few weeks, and we've got one. But I've already sort of given you a summary in my legal updates that I send to you every month. And I'm just going to finish up the memo, I hope next week. And I think the real issue, as Director Klotz, you pointed out at the last meeting, is we kind of got to see what they're going to put in their charter and what it's going to say to understand maybe what the county might be thinking with respect to water and what they may want to do with water issues. That'll help us perhaps get a better idea of what their thoughts are, and then maybe give us the ability to do a little better legal analysis. We're kind of working in a vacuum right now, trying to anticipate how home rule could potentially affect Parker Water's operations. I don't think it's going to have a big impact, but I never know what people are thinking, and so maybe when we get a look at their charter, we'll have a better idea. I can give you a better analysis, but look for a memo. Hopefully by the end of next week. I keep on promising stuff like that, and then other things come up and get in the way. But if it was anything that I felt you needed to know right away, any amazing insights, I would get it to you quicker. But I don't think I'm going to have anything amazingly insightful in the memo, other than I'll give you some good information about how home works and some various powers and a little analysis of the issue. So that's about all I got for you. I'm happy to answer any questions, though.
Jeff, I'm not quite sure on the home rule. Is this, I know the county is looking at going to that, but is this something that would be decided just by the commissioners, or would this be a vote to all the constituents in the county to go to shift?
Yeah. It's a vote. It's a vote. There's two votes, actually. There's one to pick whether they're even going to form what's called like a home rule commission, a charter commission, and who's going to be on that commission. That's the first vote. And then the next vote, if they actually proceed forward and they actually prepare a charter, will be on whether to go home rule. And so there'll be two different votes. I think the charter commission votes in June, and I think Ron probably knows, or somebody knows, but I think it's in June. And then I believe they're going to have the home rule. If they proceed, they're going to have the home rule charter vote, whether to actually go home rule in November.
Correct.
So what, from a perspective, what is the advantage, disadvantage of home rule versus just standard, which most counties have?
Yeah, it's interesting because when it comes to being a home rule jurisdiction, there's a lot of law about that for municipalities. But when it comes to being home rule for counties, there's almost nothing. I think there's maybe 3 cases on it. It gives them the ability to do certain things, gives them certain powers that they may not have as a statutory county. But my expectation and my belief is it's actually quite a bit more limited than is given to home rule municipalities. It's not quite the same constitutional source of power, but I think they're thinking they can do certain things like avoid, eliminate term limits for county commissioners. There may be a little bit more authority to provide water within the unincorporated areas of the county. They may have certain other abilities as far as like health, mask mandates, stuff like that. I haven't, looked at all the different issues because there really isn't much out there on it. So, Bill, I don't think there's going to be a huge impact on Parker Water and its water operations, but never say never, and I never quite know. It will give them the ability to make certain arguments that they have more authority than just set forth in the statutes. And then exactly how far that authority can go is probably going to be something that the courts decide.
Conceptually, a non-home rule county can only do what the statute says they can do, while a home rule county can do anything unless the statute says they can't do it. And so that's conceptually what the flip is. And my concern, and it's, I'm not, there's pros and cons to it in total, in my mind. And for example, and maybe they can do this now under land use, but let's assume that they can't do it now under hypothetically under land use. Let's say that they could stipulate under home rule that any development within, say, 2 miles of an existing water district has to join the water district and can't create their own water source tapping into the deep aquifers. And so potentially, if that hypothetically, I don't know if they can do that now or not, but it is kind of an example that maybe something like this. Or maybe in the charter, they could, as you touched on, do some things with making the county a water provider to let them slip through water court on some scheme of some kind. And so there's, I'm more concerned with the subtleties that show up in that final draft than I am in what we've got going now. And I've got some contacts that are running to beyond that, and I'm staying close to them. So I'll hopefully have some feedback of what directions they're going and anything that's unusual.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Director Klaas. I think that your concept that, when you're a statutory county, you can only do exactly what the statute authorizes you. And a home rule county, you can do anything except something the statute, you can do anything except what the statute prohibits, I guess. But I think that, that's probably a little of an overstatement because you're still going to be constrained by what kind of powers the home rule provision in the Colorado Constitution gives them. And so what exactly that constraint is the issue, right? That's where we don't quite know. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Is Weld County a home rule county? It is, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
So the purpose, when this came up, we were getting a lot of questions from a lot of the elected officials we serve. And, so the goal is for Jeff to just, in the context of Parker Water, is there an impact? And it's interesting, a lot of the stuff that we keep dreaming up they can already do. But until we know what the charter says, but the good news is it looks like it's not a huge impact to us, but we'll know more once the charter is crafted.
I think we just have to watch it from a perspective of do no harm.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
It's one of there's a concept like the courts have, which is they don't issue what's called advisory rulings because they don't say, well, if this happens in this, if this happens in that. They only really give rulings on what actually happens. And we certainly try to anticipate things, but it's difficult given that nobody else is really, other than Weld County, has really exercised a lot of home rule county authority. There's no case law on it. It's just not well developed. And so, like I said, we're kind of operating in a vacuum. So I don't want to, say, oh, nothing can happen, but I also don't want to, get too worried because it's just hard to predict. until we see the charter, and even if you see the charter, we may not know because it's going to depend on how they draft it.
I believe right now, there's 3 or 4 home rule counties in the state? 4? Okay. And, no, I think it's obviously something to be watched and be close to, but it's there, and I've got no bets on which way it's going to go. I'm just, my biggest concern is there a hidden agenda that somebody's pushing for? And,
Yeah. I've had a number of conversations with other attorneys who are kind of watching this too. And there's various theories out there, but nobody really knows, what's really driving this. And, I mean, it's hard. There may be a number of different things that are driving it. And just as a note, the home rule counties in Colorado are Weld County and Pitkin County. And then you could consider the city and county of Denver and the city and county of Broomfield to be home rule, but they're kind of a hybrid and be a little different. So those are all that there are.
And just a
Happy
reminder,
to answer. Oh, go. Sorry, Ron.
I'm just going to remind the board that we are hosting the polling location for the county in June.
good. Okay.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, Don.
Yeah, one question for Ron. Did the new tenant move into the north plant?
They've been there a month now, I think. It's going well.
So that's all going smooth, everybody's happy? And
Yep.
Yeah.
We're working on a property management agreement with Trevi. So we're defining the scope. We're a little different than most people that lease. It's our building. If something goes wrong, we tend to want to know about it. And if it's affecting them, it's affecting our lab. So like HVAC and stuff. So we're just working through those details so they can get a good idea of the scope. But so far, so good. They're a great group. A couple of them actually are customers, and one works lives in the Pinery, and but there's only 8 of them, so it works out really, really well.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it, Jeff?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks so much.
Okay. Approval of the minutes of the April 24th meeting. Do we have any additions, corrections to it? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved?
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a vote?
Yes.
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 Accounts payable, April 16 to 30. Any additions or corrections that haven't been answered?
Just, it's not really a question. I saw we purchased a new truck. I think it was a Chevy, I forget what it was, a Sierra truck, or am I wrong on that? So my question is, how many vehicles are we expected to buy this year?
Director Wasserman, I'm going to have to check on that because they've been back ordered, and I'm not sure exactly how many are going to be showing up. I can check on that and get that information.
We did get a new one. The one has shown up, I'm
Yes.
assuming, since we put out
Yes.
the money for it. Okay.
Okay.
We'll work on seeing if we can find someone other than Chevys, but
You stole my jab.
yeah, I just got half the country mad at me. But
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We got a motion in 2 seconds.
How about a 3-second motion?
Okay. Let's have a vote.
Yes.
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 And yes. Okay. Request for approval, Owner's Advisor Services for the North Platte plant expansion.
So we're going to have Emily Abbott present this request to you this evening. Emily will be serving as the project manager for the North Plant expansion.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me. Rebecca has brought up this project over the last couple of board meetings. So as you're aware, our recent wastewater flows have been increasing, as well as the projected wastewater flows that were developed as part of our 2024 master plan update. We had originally planned to start design of this expansion in 2026, but as you can see from the red dotted line here, We're projected to exceed our current treatment capacity in mid-2027, so if we didn't start design until 2026, we wouldn't be able to have the critical processes expanded in time. When these projections were finalized, we were at 77% of our treatment capacity, and the CDPHE guidance is that when you're at 80%, you should be planning for the design of your next expansion. So we chose to accelerate this project by a year. And one of the ways we can accelerate the schedule is by using the design build project delivery method. This is something we'll bring a resolution for in a future board meeting. But on the left, you can see design bid build, which is the traditional project delivery method that we've used for a lot of our projects here in the district. So we'll sign a contract with an engineer, they will complete a design, we'll put it out for bid, and then we'll choose one of those bids to bring for your approval, and we'll move into construction. But there's a trend in the industry to move towards what's called alternative delivery or collaborative delivery, and design build is one of those methods. So we would sign one contract with one team made up of an engineer and a contractor as our design build team. And there's a couple ways this can accelerate the schedule. So number one, you don't have to go through that bid phase, but more importantly, you have the involvement of the contractor from the beginning. And so they can weigh in on design decisions that would normally need to get resolved during construction, so that saves time. And the design doesn't have to be 100% complete before you can start building. We can finish certain packages of the design and have the contractor start building. So we can do kind of a phased approach that'll allow us to meet that mid-2027 deadline. And one of the things that's common on design build contracts is to select an owner's advisor, and that's the contract that I'm bringing to you tonight. And they are an independent third party who will serve to represent the district's best interests and weigh in on design decisions and cost reviews, so we can get the best possible project from both a financial and a treatment perspective. So a little bit more about the project structure itself. We're planning to do this in 3 phases. First one is the preliminary phase. The first expansion of the North Plant was completed in 2022, and during that design, the engineer laid out a potential scope for this next expansion. But now that we've had a couple years to operate the plant, we've seen which processes are really our bottlenecks and what would be the most benefit to expand for this project. So the design build firm will start off with an alternatives analysis to look at that originally planned scope, as well as those new ideas, and select the best ones that allow us to meet the immediate expansion needs, but also set us up for success on the future expansion, as well as upcoming regulatory requirements. Then once we've selected those alternatives, we'll move into 30% design, and that concludes the preliminary phase. After that is pre-construction, where we'll take the design from 30 to 60%, and the design builder will develop the guaranteed maximum price. So this will be the price for construction. At that point, we would amend their contract for that construction price and move into final design and construction. And again, we're planning for that to be a phased construction to allow us to meet those critical deadlines. Just the overall project schedule, if you approve the owner's advisor tonight, we'll issue them notice to proceed tomorrow so we can schedule a kickoff meeting with them and have them get to know our team and the layout of the project. The design build RFP went out in early April, and those are due next Thursday. So we'll review those and we'll select finalists for interviews in early June. And then we'll bring a first reading of the resolution for design build to you, likely the first board meeting in June, second board meeting in June, anticipating the second reading of that resolution, as well as the recommendation for approval of the design build contract. And that'll be just for the preliminary and pre-construction phases. Again, that'll get amended later once the GMP is finalized. So back to the owner's advisor, wanted to dive in a little more on what their role is in the project. Overall, they serve as an extension of our staff. So as you know, we have a small team on the capital project side. This is a very large project, and it's going to be fast-paced. So we want that additional support for our team, and they'll bring in expertise to kind of augment our capabilities in-house and, again, represent the district's best interests. So let's start off by helping us review the design build proposals and make recommendations for who should be selected as the finalists. They'll sit in on the interviews with us and recommend the final selection, and then they'll assist with contracting with the selected design build firm. In the preliminary phase, they'll be giving high-level input on the selection of those treatment alternatives. This will be things like safety, fatal flaws, operability, and setting us up again for success for future expansions and permit requirements. And then once we select those alternatives, they will review the 30% design drawings, So the design reviews are more high level, again, those major topics. We're not expecting them to redo all of the design calcs that were done by the design build engineer. We are planning to sign a contract with the design builder that we trust. So it's more, again, those high level review, fatal flaws, looking at risks, those kind of things. What they will review in detail is all of the cost estimates that are developed at every milestone in this project, starting with the preliminary cost estimate at 30%. And one of the main benefits that the owner's advisor will provide is input on value engineering. That'll get us some cost savings as well as constructability. They'll be looking at the risk register and fatal flaws. And then they'll attend meetings throughout the project, both with the design build team and also independently with me and with our operations staff to make sure that the district's goals are truly being met for this project. In the pre-construction phase, they'll review at a high level those 60% drawings and specifications. And then one of their most critical roles here will be the review of the GMP. So the contract that we're requesting approval for tonight is around $200,000, but that $200,000 will inform the success of the remaining $65 million. So this is a huge component of their scope to make sure that the district gets the best cost for this project. And then they'll continue to weigh in on value engineering decisions and risk management through this phase. They have some overarching services throughout the project, so their own project management. They will review any change orders that come up on the design build contract and give us advice on whether or not we should approve those. And then they'll be reviewing the project schedule throughout. So the final design and construction phase is not part of this contract that we're asking for approval. That'll be determined at a later date based on how things are going with the design builder and where we feel that we need additional services, what level of involvement we feel is appropriate from the owner's advisor. But that could include things like the 90% design review, review of the cost-loaded schedule, helping with shutdowns, tie-ins, and startup, and continuing to attend meetings. So we received 4 proposals, as you can see here. Carollo had a good proposal, but we eliminated them from further consideration due to their higher cost and highest hourly rate. For Providence and Tetra Tech, which were the lower bids, we had concerns with their smaller teams. They had less experience being an owner's advisor, less experienced team members overall, and we didn't feel that the hours were sufficient to complete the scope, so we anticipated more contract amendments with those. So we are recommending selection of Canterbury Construction Management for this contract. So even though Canterbury wasn't the lowest cost, they did have the lowest hourly rate, and we felt that their number of hours proposed was appropriate for the scope. They've done a lot of work with clients throughout the area, and when I called their references, they were all very positive. They say they rely heavily on this firm's experience and knowledge of the construction market, and they're already planning to hire them for future projects. They've done $2 billion of wastewater construction project involvement, and they're currently serving as the owner's advisor on hundreds of millions of dollars of projects in Colorado. So lots of good experience. The gentleman, Bill Canterbury, who runs the company, was in construction for 20 years, and he's now been in consulting for 12, so he'll be the project manager. He has a strong background, but he also has senior estimators and project managers who formerly worked at local construction companies, and so they bring a lot of expertise. He told me they have a cumulative 160 years of experience, but lots of senior experts there to serve the district, one of which is an electrical estimator, and electrical always ends up being one of our highest cost and longest lead items, so that specific expertise will be very beneficial. And they also have 2 sub-consultants proposed on this project. One of them is Hazen, and they are a well-known engineering firm both locally and nationally. They're currently doing a project for us for pipelines to connect the recently drilled wells to their corresponding well houses. The project is going really well so far. And one of their proposed team members on this project was an engineer on the design of the first North Plant expansion, so he has that knowledge of our facility. And then the second firm is Answer Advisory. We have not worked with them before, but they're a construction management company, so they have expertise in cost and schedule management, constructability, startup, construction inspection, those kinds of things. And they bring a lot of experts on their team as well. One of them, for example, is both an attorney and an engineer, so when it comes to those contract negotiations, those services will be helpful. And while the contract is only for the base scope of the owner's advisor services, in their proposal, they outlined a number of innovative ideas that we could include as alternative services, so we may want to bring those forth in a future amendment, such as, for example, a dedicated risk workshop. So we appreciate the innovation that they brought to the proposal as well. So we felt that this is a unique combination of companies and of experts, and that they provide the best value to the district overall.
Have we worked with Canterbury before?
We have not.
Robert, this is kind of in your expertise area. You have any comments?
No, actually, I kind of agree with the approach.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Can you go back to the schedule?
Yep.
Yeah, this looks pretty fast. Yeah. Since this is a big project, I assume you've already been alerting, I'll say, or letting design-build teams know that this is coming. It's coming down the road.
Emily did a phenomenal job with the outreach. So when we released the proposal for the design build team, it's already out and they've been working on the proposal. We had multiple meetings and tours at the plant with all of the interested teams. We anticipate getting at least 4 design build teams proposing on the project, all of which are familiar, all of which have had tours of the plant, have sat down with us. We've already talked about our goals for the project. So it does seem fast, but Emily has actually been working on this since the beginning of the year with outreach to the consultants and the designers.
So we're not concerned that we won't find somebody to do the work, that they'll...
Oh,
that
they're very interested in doing
very
the work.
interested, yeah.
Yeah.
And the total budget's like 68?
We have 65 million in the
55
budget.
million, yeah.
65.
65, yeah, I was thinking 68, okay. Yeah, okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. Okay. This is an action item. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have a vote?
Yes.
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 Unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Informational discussion, water conservation and efficiency update.
All right, and now we're going to invite Heather Justice up. This is our standard water efficiency update, which we have moved to doing it every other month.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to provide an update to you all on the progress on what the staff are doing on our water efficiency and conservation program. Just a few things that we're going to discuss tonight. We're going to review the accomplishments through March and April with an overview of the system-wide per capita use. And then we'll take a quick look at the May and June focus areas and wrap up with any questions that you might have. First I'd like to... We got our yard signs printed, so we got 2 sides. They're different, and there's one behind each of you to take home tonight and share.
So what we ask is you put it in your yard, not your neighbor's yard.
So it took us quite a few attempts to get those printed, so when they finally came and they were correct, we had a little celebration. Because it took 5 tries for the printer to get it right. But we only paid for one correct one. So that's a fun thing. Anyway, we did do our kickoff meeting for our demonstration garden, and we have started the initial preliminary conceptual designs for that. So we're really excited about that. We also did some tours. Staff did some tours of local demonstration gardens to help us decide what elements we wanted. Sorry, I'm a little emotional about this because I'm really blessed to have great staff, and Heather Johnson did such a great job in less than 2 months, pulled a class together, and just knocked it out of the park. It was a great class. She did a great job. We had 18 registered, 8 attended. We got great feedback from it, and we're hoping that it'll just grow. Just from the feedback we got from the people who were there and then the emails we got, it was great. And we do plan to record those too. Then we hosted Doug Talamay. He's a well-known entomologist, and he presented Nature's Best Hope. On that one, we had 20 non-staff people show up. That included local officials, governmental officials, state representatives, some other nonprofit entities, and also Director Langley and Director Wasserman attended. So it was a great event, teaching us about native plants and the importance for that. For our Resource Central, we have given out 48 of our rebates, so that's 80%. Before they sold out for the spring, their fall gardens will start opening up. For Slow the Flow, they are currently building their list, and we're doing pretty okay. It's hard to tell at this time of year because they haven't started scheduling yet. Lawn removals, so this is the program that we work with South Metro Water Supply Authority. Parker Water has the most applications in that at 5, and 1 was turned in today, so that one's pending. On our irrigation rebates, we have had 11 to date. On our rules and regulations, a couple of things there. We have scheduled our second quarter meetings with our land use partners. So those are scheduled and ready to go. Those they're both scheduled in June with Parker and Lone Tree. The other thing that we've been working on that's not listed here is we've been working with the developers to help them understand our new rules and regulations and what it means for them for the irrigation and the new state rules and how that affects them and how they should be planning for that. Because we don't want them to come January 1st, 2026 and have a surprise that they can't install their sod anymore. So it'd be sad. On our water budget side, we have completed the contracting with Intera to do the work for us. We continue our work with our CIS team to prepare for the conversion. And we're working on the meter to parcel relationship in GIS. For our fiscal sustainability goal, we continue to support that fiscal review and answer any questions that may come up. On our State of Colorado reporting, we have completed our 2024 water loss audit, and that has been verified and validated. So we'll be able to submit that to the state. And we're working on our second draft for our water efficiency master plan, which is going pretty well. Now, just a couple of highlights to set the stage. So what you see here are the historic metered water demands compared to population. I wanted to set the stage in case you didn't remember that we are growing. And our demand is increasing over time. The darker color, which on my paper looks blue, but I think it looks black here, that is our indoor demand. And then the green color is our outdoor demand. Something that I want to remind you is that in 2023, we had a very wet spring, right? So our demand was down. And our customers responded in kind. This shows that our education is working. In the past, 5-10 years ago, you would still see sprinklers running or irrigation happening when it was raining. So this is a direct response, or indirect direct response showing education works. And then in 2024 is what we consider an average year. So, and we actually see in the next slide, I'm going to show you that our water use looks really good for an average year. So here are what this is our system-wide per capita water use. So it's gallons per capita demand. And this is how we measure if we're conserving water or if we're overusing water based on our population. And something that's really interesting to me and very, very nice, it's a very nice story, is that our indoor demand from 2014 through 2024 has steadily decreased. That means that our washing machines and our dishwashers, all of those things are being replaced with more efficient, I just lost the word.
Appliances.
Appliances, thank you.
Yes.
Appliances. So, and we still have an older community. We have our base community, and then we have a growing community. So as those appliances age out, they're being replaced with newer efficiency appliances, and as our new houses come online, they have new efficient appliances. Now, it's not going to stop our teenagers from taking 2-hour showers, but it's okay, because our appliances are helping us. The other great story is that we're seeing our per capita demand respond to what I call wet, dry, and average years. So when it's an average year, that's when we see normal precipitation. And when we have wet years, it means we have a wet spring like last year, or a wet summer, or just lots of rain and precipitation. When we have a dry year, which I think we're going to have this year, I think it's going to be hot and dry and not as much precipitation as we've seen in the past. That's what they're predicting. And in fact, 75% of the state is already in D0, which is the first stage of drought. So I think we will see drought this summer. But the story is, last year we had an average year, and our per capita use was 116. Our goal that we're setting in our water efficiency master plan is 112 GPCD during an average year by 2035, which by this data is doable. We can get there pretty easily.
Question?
Yes, sir.
So your system-wide per capita use, so that's total consumption, right?
Total consumption, and it includes
Divided by the total population.
which that includes system losses, so it's all categories
So this
divided.
includes losses?
This includes losses.
So it's total
It's total.
production, would that be the right term?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
System-wide, it means total.
And then you're ferreting the indoor use out of the winter, right?
Yes.
Right. Whose number is the 74,000 population? I mean, that's a number we've struggled with a lot, right? Trying to come up with the
It
population.
is. So we're using the census data and things like that from the town, as well as looking at average
Households?
household size
Like
within our district.
2.85 people per
Yep.
household, that kind of stuff?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good number, we think?
We think it is a pretty good number.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Okay, our focus for May and June. So we just got our yard signs, so we're going to start promoting those pretty heavily. We're going to put it on the website that you can come and request one from us. And we're going to be giving them away at different events that we're having this summer. June 18th we are participating in the South Metro Water Supply Authority Children's Water Festival. It's the first one. It's going to be held in Castle Rock, and we will have a booth there, and our emphasis will be on our conservation program, and we're also going to have a little bit about water quality at our booth. But there's about 40 different participants in that, and we're one of them. We will continue the design of the demonstration garden, and we will continue and promote our rebate program.
Do you have a date for that water festival?
June 18th.
18?
June 18th, and it's 2 to 6. Yep, 2 to 6.
And we'll definitely get you guys on your calendars. I think it'll be a really good event.
Is this at the Castle Rock Water Facility?
It is
Oh,
at
it's at
their pavilion.
Oh, okay,
What's it called?
It's at the incline, the Miller Complex.
Yes.
okay. And is there a certain age group of kids? I mean, Aurora used to do like,
It's going to be geared towards everybody, and then afterwards, there's going to be a beer festival for adults.
beer festival.
Yeah, after 6.
That's Castle Rock for you.
Well, I used to go to the one in Aurora. I mean, it's amazing. It's a blast. It really is. The kids are just, they just eat it up.
They've got the foam party coming, they've got Mad Science Guy coming, vendor, the trucks that you can eat out of, food trucks.
Yeah.
And then all of the water providers, local water providers that are part of South Metro are also coming and tabling.
Yeah. Another question. How are you distributing the signs? I mean,
One for each director, you didn't see that?
yeah. I have 120 signs in my garage right now, so
So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to put a button on the web page for people to come, or for people to request one, and either they can come here or we could deliver them while people are out,
yeah.
while staff, if they're in the neighborhood.
How many
And-
do you have?
We started out with 200, but we've been giving them away last week and this week, because we just got them last week. And then we'll be giving them away during our events.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are we partnering with anybody on the demonstration gardens, like Takawa or anybody?
We are partnering with Douglas County Rec Authority right now. We have not formed partnerships with the gardens yet. We're not at that point, but that does remind me, they did sponsor both of our events, Tagawa Gardens and Pine Lane Nursery. Tagawa Gardens donated a plant for each event, and Pine Lane Nursery donated a $100 gift certificate for the Doug Talamay event.
Thank you.
Yeah.
By your tree.
Any other questions?
So what we're going to focus on in May and June in our regulations is we're going to continue our water budget calculations and processes. We're going to continue implementing those new rules and regulations and answering questions, working with the developers. And we're going to continue to participate in the turf removal program and really promote that one, and also we've been heavily promoting our Slow the Flow program. Hopefully you guys have seen those ads. On the fiscal side, we're going to continue to participate in the rate study and see if we can lower the tier down to 16,000 gallons. And we're right in the middle of conducting our yearly conservation and efficiency audit. And so at the next update, I'll have more statistics for you. We will complete our House Bill 1051 reporting. That's due June 30th, but we're planning to have that done by May 30th. And we hope to have our water efficiency master plan completed and ready to start gaining that public comments. We have to go into a public comment period. Any additional questions?
I want to say I appreciate the outreach projects, programs that we're doing to the community, whether it's educational, like our symposiums, whatever we would call them, or the gardens. I think we have to be very deliberate on outreach to the community and creating the right impression, the positive impression of Parker Water, because down the road, we may need to use some of that capital to get the Platte Valley project done. But I think we need to be all these little outreach items, they're additive. And we've got a very positive image in the community, and we have to keep cultivating that. So thank you very much for going that direction.
Thank you.
And I'll let the board know, I'll work with our acting CFO because she's supposed to grab her chest when we see declining use, and declining revenue. So we'll get that fixed for the next meeting. So,
Yeah, I need to get with Steve or Steve and you and Steve's replacement, because that rate study, I mean, there's a lot of things we're trying to look at in that rate study, whether or not we adjust the fixed fee, can we, even maybe reduce the fixed fee more, a lot of scenarios that Steve and I have talked through to try and, predict the future a little bit. So I'm not sure where we're at on that and, what the schedule looks like. So if he can just get me up to speed when he gets back, that'd be great.
and what I'd like to offer the board, we started down the road of like committees with board members. So we'll get that schedule out, but if anyone's interested to join Dawn in the discussions, we'll
Fun
set
with
something up.
numbers, yeah. I think the one challenge that still remains, I don't think Heather would disagree, we just got to get more numbers, right? I mean, we're talking 8, 10, 11, those kind of numbers for, like Garden in the Box and that kind of stuff. And I don't know how, but, it'd be nice if it was 100, right? But that's something we can all just kind of try and think about and dwell on and try and maybe come up with something that moves that along.
We would have to increase the budget.
What?
We would have to increase the budget.
Oh.
So that.
I know the treasurer, so we can, we can talk about that.
Which then you guys would have to approve, so
Yeah,
that would be.
yeah, I understand, but, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before I drop the hammer? Seeing none, adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Have a great night, everybody.
Demonstration. It's just not our.